All right, everybody, we got breaking news here at one fucking hour. This is an emergency.
Yes, we're just getting word of a Category 9 Cinepocalypse, and it's coming your way.
That is right, Tom. We did not anticipate to record an episode at all until the new year. We had no idea, but we just decided to go see a movie in the theater last night, which was... spoiler alert, Babylon by Damien Chazelle. Guys, I think we might have just witnessed the worst movie of the year. Wait, no. Maybe the worst movie of the decade? Wait, no.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the worst movie of the new century? No. Maybe the worst movie ever fucking made. All right, stay tuned. We're going to talk about it.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That's right. We had to put together an emergency recording session. We are on our phones. We are out of our normal comfort zones. We had to throw this together. We're in bed. We had to put this together.
I'm hanging out with James and the Purple Crayon over here in some strange world. I'm in some strange world.
That's right. We
Harold
had
and the Purple Crayon.
That's right, everybody. Well, it is one fucking hour time. Of course, this is the show where we talk about one movie for one fucking hour. And tonight, we are going to be talking about a film that we saw, a brand new release movie from, that's right, 2022. Here we go. We're talking about Babylon by Damien Chazelle. Fucking maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I am Evan Husney. Of course, we got Tom Fitzgerald in the house. Tom, what's going on?
Hey there. Yeah. We didn't know what we were getting into. We got in over our heads, man, last night. We just went to the movies.
Yeah, it was fucking brutal. And special guest, also present at last night's screening. She's kind of the person that masterminded us going to it in the first place. Welcome back to the channel. Rémy Bennett. How you doing, Rémy? What's going on?
I haven't slept. I'm exhausted. I'm delirious. It's been haunting my fucking dreams all night and my morning waking hours. So yeah, I want to get this out of my system. I want to cleanse it out.
Yeah. I think we all feel that way.
Yes, we've been literally thinking about this movie for the past 24 hours. We've watched what little there is on YouTube, the reactions, the reviews, the director junket interviews, the cast and crew interviews to try and get this out of our system, but I think this might be the only way that we will be able to do that. So, all right, everybody, strap in to, I can't believe this is real, but we are doing one fucking hour, like I said, on Babylon from 2022. Okay.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to start the clock.
All right.
Do you want to say anything ahead of the clock?
No, well, maybe just like the genesis of this was, the last episode was movies we hate, right?
2 episodes ago. Yeah.
Right. Not Zodiac. Anyway, so we just did that movies we hate thing, and it's been kind of on our minds, and it was pretty fun to do. And we just were dilly-dallying around with the idea of like, what might be the movie we hate for 2022? And we threw out some titles. And like I said, we weren't prepared for this one. We thought it was going to be just like regular old, like Devil's Rejects Bad or something. But as we'll get into it, it was a shocking experience, you know.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into the buildup of last night and why we chose to go see Babylon. Let's do that with the clock on.
Okay.
Last thing I'll say is, normal watchers of this show, this is a breaking news episode. This is a new type of format here, so there's not going to be emergency episode. Is emergency breaking news. There's going to be no fancy cutaways. There's going to be no zip zops and boop bops that you're used to on the show, because we had to get this out now because it is breaking news, headed your way, category 9, as we said. So all right, I'm going to turn that clock on, and then let's talk about the build up into going into this movie. Okay, clock is starting now. Okay, so last night, Tom, you came to visit New York, as you do, around this time during the holidays, and we met up, I think around, I don't know, maybe 5 or so or something like that. and we were talking about
a police report.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, at just like, 2 weeks ago, we did the Movies We Hate episode of 1 fucking hour.
Right.
We've been really in that soup of talking about these movies that we hate. It was fun. It was a fun episode, and we've been kind of living in that. We watched so many movies that we hate in preparation for that episode that we've been kind of stuck, at least I have, in that headspace. And I think us kind of being in the same room again, and of course with Rémy, just kind of thinking about like, oh my God, should we go see a shitty movie that's a new release movie in theaters? Like that would be fun.
Right.
Like Right. I mean, that was the idea.
Yeah.
And there were lots of options because it's...
Well, we had a short list, right?
We had a short list.
We were defaulting kind of on The Whale because there's a connection because it's, we had done the Aronofsky
Requiem for a Dream. Yep.
Requiem for a Dream. And we thought, well, Homeboy's back for 2022, so I want to check out The Whale. And then as far as maudlin boomer camp fest, we maybe would see The Fablemans.
The Fablemans. That was the word of the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that we were throwing that around. But then ... Rémy like dropped a bomb on us here with the
tell
suggestion.
us, Rémy. Yeah.
I had an inkling, I knew that it would be, like we said, transcendently atrocious and abysmal.
You did.
And
I didn't.
I knew that. I had a feeling that this would be that movie. And I knew that if I had seen it by myself, I'd be wallowing in my own pain and torture for weeks on end, trying to explain to you guys how fucking abysmal and terrible it was.
Right.
And I could never communicate that. So I was like, please do this with me. Do me a favor. Come with me. Be there on this journey. Because I can't talk about it later. I need you to understand. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I think we're going to get into later on in the hour. I do want to spend some time talking about just a broader cultural sort of, the phenomenon of how we're here, like how we got here with movies being as bad as they are today, like Babylon, and like really kind of those kind of pretentious, like there's no checks or balances types movies like this, that I want to get into. But going into this, I'd seen the Babylon trailer on TV, but it didn't really sink in. And I had seen that trailer for that awful movie Amsterdam or whatever.
Yep, same thing.
And both those movies sort of kind of conflated in my mind. So I didn't really have any preconceived notions. But Tom, did you really like what did you know about this movie before we went in to see it?
Yeah, funny enough, it's actually analogous to what you were just saying. I literally saw like the commercial on an SNL broadcast, and I half looked at it, and I was like, wait, is that Amsterdam? Like, which one's Amsterdam? And which one's that? Because they're both like edgy modern directors looking at the 20s that's the vague concept I had. And like the 20s, this is not your grandma's 1920s. They both had that feel. And I was like, do I care? And so, then I thought it would be serviceable because, okay, it's the La La Land guy. I actually thought it was a musical. So I thought that they would just like break out in song. It made sense to me and it actually seemed like, I don't know if it's a good idea, but it seemed like an idea where you do sort of a 20s musical about the 20s, but it has a little more, like just that. Again, I really didn't think about it that much, but I thought I'm not seeing it is the main thought. And it looks like it would be boring because it would be a lot of La La Landishness. So I thought I'm probably never, ever going to watch Babylon. I might have watched Amsterdam because I like David O. Russell, but this one I thought would just go like right by me forever.
And I roped you guys. I roped you in.
Yes. And here's a look at the trailer. We're looking at it right
now.
Oh God, please don't do this to us.
I know.
No.
And and so what I came to know before going into it was that this was a period piece in the 20s, sort of looking at, it's got Brad Pitt, it's got Margot Robbie, this is going to be a big movie about the 20s Hollywood and specifically the transition into the sound cinema, and I'm sort of thinking like Hail Caesar or something like that, but like right off the bat, you're sort of looking at this trailer and you're watching it and you're seeing it's very garish, it's over the top, like look at all these camera movements that we're looking at that are just which we'll get into. And so for me, it sort of seemed like we were going to be watching some sort of campy Baz Luhrmann
Right.
You know, something that we would laugh at, like Elvis. Like Elvis was pathetic, very pathetic, and super normcore and hilarious just to watch. That's what I was hoping for. Something we could look at each other and like elbow each other in the theater. And I thought that's what we were getting into with this. But boy,
this was POW torture.
And we both, I think we're all, what was it?
POW torture.
Yeah, that's what it led to. Yeah, that's what we got.
Dick Cheney time.
No, and also the new Great Gatsby. You know, the cool hip hoppy adaptation. I thought I'd be seeing a rapper like at a Roaring Twenties party. I thought it was going to be that kind of thing. You know, like let's get some trap beats. You know, with this Roaring Twenties shindig with flappers. You know, I thought it was that kind of thing, and just celebratory. Like camp, like great. Again, I keep saying it, but like Great Gatsby, like here's a modern twist. Like I think the premise that I think would allure people is like we've been living in kind of the Roaring Twenties now, and it's kind of like more similar to the Roaring Twenties than you might think it is because ... Right. And that's just, and then so it would be a very music video-ish. You know, all of it, because they're trying to make a point that like they were pretty cool back then. You know, that's, again, I really was barely having thoughts forming when I thought about it, but that was the big idea. And like the Great Gatsby, the new one, I didn't plan on seeing it. So
yeah,
I didn't see the Great Gatsby. You know,
right. So here's a picture of Tom.
Right.
At the same jacket, which is great. Yeah.
Right on. I was pretending that I was excited when they had a costume design display in the lobby.
Yeah, it's very Ziegfeld theater. Like, I used to go to Ziegfeld. Yeah, I love it.
Here we go.
So here's Tom, very, very excited to walk in to see Babylon. And look, we're like I said, we're going in for camp value, holiday season film, and then
we also planned on walking out though. We did say, my mother was also there.
Yeah.
We have to say.
Yeah. Poor woman.
So I dragged my mom to it, and she's like, I don't know if I can, it might be rough. I was like, okay, we can walk out if we need to walk out. Yeah.
Because one last thing in all the pregame of this thing was I just assumptively said, and it's going to be fucking 3 hours, right? and then you looked on your phone and you went, actually it is. And I was like, no. Yeah. And that's why I was like, I'll give it an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Guys,
but I'm probably not going to make it.
It's actually 3 hours and 9 minutes long.
3 hours and 9 minutes, yeah.
So it's over 3 hours.
Over 3 hours, yeah.
So here's Tom, right?
Looking like where my innocence was still intact, where my belief in humanity was still...
Rosy cheeks and,
yeah. I was so naive back then. Yeah. At like 6:48 last night.
Now let's take a look at what Tom... here, hang on. Sorry. So this is where we're doing this impromptu, So this is how we do. This is how we roll. When we're doing
it's an emergency.
This is an emergency.
It's like in Dawn of the Dead. There we go.
There is.
That's Tom. Cut to me at hour 2:20 or something. Yeah. And I want to say I was not posing. He was next to me. Yeah, Evan's next to me, and he just took a picture. That's where I was at at some point.
Yeah. We were all in different stages of this throughout the film, head in hands, just like,
Yeah.
So brutal. So this was Tom trying to get through this 3 hours and 9 minutes of perhaps
there was an endurance
absolute worst fucking thing ever. So let's just get into this. So we had all this build up again. Like I said, I don't want to belabor the point or bog down, but like again, Baz Luhrmann is kind of where our heads were at for this like kind of thing. And so we knew it was going to be bad. But then we looked at each other with our fucking jaws on the floor when, I don't know, minute 2, the first set piece. Well, do you want to set this up? Because you sort of said the movie opened almost, with this kind of idyllic, deserted land. Tell us. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so, all right. Anyway, I was just remembering this today. It's like the innocence that I had in life and with this film. It was part of the first minute of the film because it starts intriguingly. That's the word I'm thinking. And it's the desert. You don't quite have any orientation. You see some man with an old beat up truck. Who is he? Like classic, let's start a movie, have kind of like a cold opening, right? Like stranger
brings you into it
in a strange place. Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, well, and then he meets another guy and they're like, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm with it. But then that little scenario in the desert about, like a minute or two later, instead, you wind up in this place. Go ahead and drop that one. Evan.
So minute 2 of this movie, never in my wildest fucking dreams would I picture the La La guy. Okay, this is the La La Land guy. This is the, Damien Chazelle's the director, La La Land. You got Whiplash, very, very Sundance approved, kind of filmmaker. Never in my wildest dreams. And this was going to serve as a metaphor for us for the next 3 hours and 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Was a giant elephant asshole expelling diarrhea, literally covering this poor actor in shit.
And covering the lens.
Covering us.
Covering us.
It was the audience.
It was a POV of this of the spray of like a monster diarrhea basically.
It's a diarrhea explosion.
Yeah.
That, we are being shit on as the audience.
On our faces, yeah.
2 minutes in.
Which
2 minutes in.
Yeah. And I'm like, what are you supposed to do with that? I have some thought. Yeah.
But it was the tone of it. Like it was the tone shift was so bizarre.
Right.
That it was like, and then everyone's screaming. All the actors around this are screaming, what the fuck? And it's so over the top. And it's almost like trying to be it was like a Fairley Brothers movie.
Fairly.
Like The Hangover
Trauma.
meets like Trauma, Van Wilder, like every bad
or
trope
like,
of like the dog biting someone's balls in a movie and everyone's like, you're like, what?
Or like that bad Sacha Baron Cohen movie where he's playing like the low class British guy.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yeah.
It's not good. But it's lowbrow humor. But I didn't know how to take it. Right. And we'll get into that. The humor of Babylon will be a subject we'll get into more.
Yes.
You actually said going into it, like again, talking about what our expectations were and what we thought we were going to be laughing at was literally a movie where people will be popping corks every 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And then instead,
a lot of champagne. Yeah.
Instead, it was literally a guy being shit on.
And
30 seconds.
You guys did Sallow, we're not against shit in movies and people getting shit on if it serves the film and if it serves the tone of the movie. This was the tone was so off that it was embarrassing because it was the intention was it was misdirected and it fell flat.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I guess it's like I didn't know how to take it as a viewer. It's like, is this supposed to be darkly funny? Is this supposed to literally just be what it is, a Fairley Brothers move, or is there some larger metaphor, or is it actually a serious moment? Somewhat. Where is this going? Yeah. What context is it in?
And who's it for? Who's it for?
Yeah, but it really is the first thing that happens in the film.
Yeah, it is.
So what do I do with that? So.
What a fucking bait and switch. I mean, what our expectations were immediately like, okay, what the fuck? Then the movie brings us to this very over the top, garish, ridiculous party scene that goes on for 30 minutes, which it's like, people fucking, people snorting coke, just really cringe. Go ahead.
Little people with dildos, and naked people swinging. A lot of a really broad kind of cheesy version of like having the wildest party of your life, and urine, lots of urine, and it goes. And you just said it, like there's going to be a running theme here. It goes on like 20 minutes too long. Yeah. Like he could have been there, but you just are stuck at that party for way too long. And it's the same redundant footage. And well, let's get into it. it's the beginning of really the iconic image of this film, which is trumpet zoom outs, like it's like
if
jazz drummer
trumpet in my life.
And so it's like jazz drummer, hey, you know, and there's lots of that, and it's just tedious. Like, and nothing's worse than what's supposed to be kind of wild and fun is actually just kind of dull.
It's boring.
It doesn't have any energy. It's not right and
it doesn't feel authentic.
Not authentic, and it's too broad. And also, there's no funny little. He doesn't have a good sense of humor, which I guess we can get into at any point here. He thinks he's funny, but it's not. He doesn't have I think even more than funny, I think he doesn't have any wit. Yeah. And for a scene like that, you should have wit. You know, at least like a Blake Edwards kind of wit or something. You know what I mean?
There's
like
no
visual
sensibility.
Yeah,
there's no genuine sensibility that we're deriving any sort of like joy or humor from. So it's like his whole, when we watched those stupid interviews with him, he was like, yeah, I was doing research and I discovered that the 20s were actually pretty crazy and wild. Yeah. It's like, yeah, duh. But it's like he's not accessing the reality of those moments. So you're not like we talked about Boogie Nights, how he's also ripping off Boogie Nights the whole film, which is also so stupid to rip off Boogie Nights from the 90s. You know, it's just like really dumb. But like like that movie what we talked about had so much texture, so much character that when you're in those moments of excess, like you feel every individual person and their experience, and you're totally invested, right? Yeah. And this is the opposite. Like you're not invested in anybody.
It's empty spectacle. It's like what am I supposed to do with all this information and these busy fucking frames? And it's loud and cacophonous, and it doesn't ground. Yeah, and it doesn't ground itself on like again, there's long-term and short-term problems, but this is the beginning of one of the major long-term problems, which is you're not really focusing on anybody, and when you do focus on individuals in this party scene stuff, like you don't learn anything about them, you don't care about them, they don't have character quirks that you can like kind of ground yourself and then you're living vicariously with them through the party. It's just all very clumsy.
Cartoons.
Well, here's the main thing. Here's the main thing. Okay, is you know, obviously this director is indulging himself in the craziness of this set piece, right? And he's setting the tone for this movie, which is going to be set piece after set piece after set piece after set piece, right? And the major flaw of the movie. And this is kind of wild because coming hot off the heels of our movies we hate episode, I'm sitting here suffering through this movie, right? And I remember looking at my watch and it was like, oh my God, you
tried to leave the whole time.
No, I know, but hang on. I was only 37 minutes into this fucking movie, okay? And I'm looking at myself like, holy shit, like this is gonna be brutal. But all the movies we watched and the movies that we hate, technically, for the movies we hate, you know, they're all flashing in my head right now because all those movies, even though I hate them, they have characters, they have scenes, they have something to latch onto. You know,
Amen.
This is starting to feel like a Matthew Barney sort of like you know free for all. You know, it is so much worse. I know.
Without the art. I
know. Well, I mean, it's this.
I know what you mean, though.
And
it's an installation or something.
Yes. It starts to, again, it goes back to what we hated about Joker, which was the idea of it seeming like a deck PDF presentation of just like, you know, okay, here's things we like, and we think the audience is going to think they're really fucking cool, but actually you're not even considering the audience because there's nothing to actually latch onto. So first off,
terrible production design too.
Well, I'm just trying to mainline like even though like I'm trying to think like there's like movies I don't like, you know, like Zack Snyder movies like Sucker Punch or you know or like you know 300 or something. I know. But we got characters still and scenes still.
I know.
This does not have any of those things.
Lack of any scene structure.
Like bad like
no
aesthetics.
Character.
Aesthetic aside, we're not actually learning anything about these characters. And then what this movie ultimately does, just to cut to the chase, and then we'll go back and talk about scenes. What the movie ultimately does is it's so abrasive in its lack of character and lack of scenes that like scenes of like, you know, when something happens
yeah.
scenes, characters, that it actually like the filmmaker and film thinks that you should care about these people. So then in the ultimate third act, when it's harping on you to feel something for this movie and feel something for these characters.
Well, what it
this
wants
film
to do,
hasn't
it
even
wants to,
fucking earned it. Not even one step.
Exactly. It wants to cash in on the setup of like you love character A and you love character B. Right. Will character A and B get together? Well, they won't. They. Yeah. And it's like, hey, movie, you didn't even begin. You didn't even hit like the first step to getting any of us to care about these people. Actually, they actually just seem like jerks, and I don't give I wouldn't mind if they all went up in jail and I just walk away. Like, I don't care. You know,
it's not that I'm saying no investment. Even, sorry, Rémy, I'm going to throw it right to you, but it's not even like I'm asking to relate to them. I'm not asking to understand their point of view or to find something in myself that reflects to them.
No.
I'm literally basically just asking, who the fuck are these people that I'm trapped in this room with for 3 hours and 9 minutes? I don't know. I don't know who they are.
But like, so one of the lead characters is played by Margot Robbie, right? So she's supposed to be a Clara Bow type, who's an aspiring actress who's living in poverty in LA and wants to be somebody. So she goes to this party, this huge party. So really the introduction of her is her trying to get into the party. And meanwhile, we talked about the outfit. So she's like, has this wild, like 80s crimped hair and
like
this almost like disco dress
element.
With like 80s, like little booties. And she's like, let me in. And like the accent, which is like the bad New York Jersey accent, which is so over the top.
She's very good at it. Very good at a bad New Jersey accent.
And it's just like, the performance is at 11 from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like from the fucking get-go. So it's like,
abrasive.
I don't know, you're just a rubber-faced, like over the top, like caricature. And like, you know, I love Margot Robbie as a human. I root for her. Like we said, she's great. But like like the director should have stepped in and been like, how do we craft this performance so we get to know this person gradually?
Right.
Like she just goes in there and there's no nuance. And for the whole movie, it doesn't change.
Yeah.
And where she starts is where she ends.
There's no modulation.
No.
And to her credit, you know, Damien left her just like on an island. Like he didn't give her. There's no script. There's no there.
There's no nothing.
Like there's no script. So she's just like, I guess I'll just gesticulate and wave my arms and yell a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's no direction to craft that performance. And I honestly feel bad for actors in that position because like you're hired, you show up, you have the script, you're like, I'm going to do my best. But if the director is not, if you're not in good hands, you're screwed. No. You know what I mean?
No, you're so screwed.
And so the whole film, we don't.
That's why it's a terrible job.
She's supposed to be the heart of that movie. Each of these characters are cardboard cutouts. We don't give a shit about them, you know? And so you're so bored.
Let's just really boil this down. There is simply, this is not hyperbolic. There's no character development. Literally, it's just like, you know, you're at the place with her character from the first frame you see her to the last frame you see her. Yeah. And it's just like, and I'm just shrugging. And with everybody else, and there's this her boyfriendish kind of guy, like the big male lead, who I call is this complete void. And I don't want to actually diss the actor. The more we talk about this, like maybe he's a good actor. I haven't really seen him in anything else, but like he's such an empty place because he's even less. He's the other kind of problem when you have an actor who has no director guiding you. She hams it up. She hams it up, and then he's just like a cardboard cutout of like male adult lead.
Well,
stands there, and I have nothing to work with. And again, I also don't kind of like him. He just seems like an unpleasant like person who, for an unknown reason, has ambitions.
Hang on,
there's no backstory. There's no history. There's no internal life in him. I'm
just thinking of the viewer who may not have seen this movie. I just want to set up who this person is real quick. And just quickly put a bow on what you were saying, Rémy, real fast, is when you do see Margot Robbie, and I'll transition to the male lead, but when you see Margot Robbie show up at that party, and now we're with this character, we're assuming she's one of the main characters, obviously she's a star, and we're seeing her, and she's already so out of place with the 80s hair and the 80s dress, and then so now we're like, okay, now it's not. We're not even going to be paying attention to the aesthetic. We're not even going to be paying attention to what's historically accurate and appropriate. So that's out the window. So now I can't grasp onto that. So it's another free fall sort of thing as the viewer. But okay, so then we have this character played by Diego Calva, who's like he's kind of a newcomer. This is his first big Hollywood film. He's a Mexican actor and primarily in Mexican films, and they discovered him for this movie. I'm very happy for him that he has this opportunity.
I know.
He seems like a great guy. He seems like a really good actor. But
he might be. He might be. You know what? I'd love to see him play a character someday in a movie.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like, fucking talented director.
Yeah. So he plays the character of Manny Torres, who starts kind of as a he's the guy who's trying to get this elephant to this party we're talking about that shits on this everybody. But this Manny character somehow, is breaking into movies, whatever. We see him sort of on the sidelines. This person is reserved to the sidelines. He is not literally in this movie. He is literally almost like you have mistakenly captured a crew member on film in every single scene that he's in. He's literally window dressing. And then he somehow 0 to 60 in this movie becomes an executive at the studio, which makes there's no transition.
Like 2 hours. 2 hours.
2 hours in, he's the head of the studio. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then
it happens in the blink of an eye, and there's no setup, there's no logic to it. Also, there's no modulation. You don't see him change. Like, he doesn't become like you see in his eyes, he gets colder and more jaded or something like that. Like, because the thing is, like, just if I can articulate, like, what should be happening kind of normally is like, he's wide-eyed and idealistic. Like, I love just watching the movies. and then when he becomes an executive, he gets like, Michael Corleone in Godfather 2, shut the door, like, this is a business straight, and he's like hardened by like the business side of this dream factory he always wanted to be in.
But he's the same fucking person the whole movie.
But honestly, there isn't anything even resembling what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. You're making it sound a lot better than it is.
Yeah. The only difference is none of that I said is happening. The only thing is he's just wearing suits all of a sudden. That's it.
Exactly.
Can we also talk about just like so after the party scene, which goes on way too
30 minutes
long, it's actually you want to tear your hair, you're like scratching your skin, like get me out of here.
The music is horrible.
The music is terrible. And the aesthetics are just not cool. They're not pretty. They're not interesting. They're just garish and modern. It's not even like Sofia Coppola's like Marie Antoinette. Like, sure, there's problems with that movie. It's a little annoying, but yeah, there's beauty in that production design. So you style over substance. Sofia Coppola is really good at that. You know what I mean? And like you can marvel at, oh my God, this production designer did an amazing job. This is like, there's no style and there's no substance.
It's
so then like you go.
It's very Matrix.
Everything at the wall.
It's very
bold and like it's garish and like it's modern and shitty.
It's very Matrix Reloaded dance. all you millennials out there will remember the Matrix Reloaded rave scene. It's the Matrix Reloaded rave scene. Just
dancing,
with some,
it's supposed to be like 20s, and it's like,
it's everyone's just like,
like
it's
Flea too. So we have Flea
and Flea's in there.
Everyone is screaming. So just to let you guys know, like from the start of this film, people are just every character, whether they're an extra, a supporting character, a lead, they are screaming. So like it's like someone like a kid directing something or a high schooler who's like, we want energy, so just scream, like where there's no, so everyone's saying motherfucker and fuck you and shit.
It's a high school play.
Play. And so we have the party scene. Okay, that we want to kill ourselves, and then that's over. And then the next scene is Margot Robbie gets plucked out of the party and she goes to set to be like, in this film, and she's like the bit part, right? So we go onto the set. It's supposed to be this like amazing, beautiful, like movies, like epic
the magic
filmmaking,
of early Hollywood,
Chariots of Fire kind of thing of like 700 extras and all that, and that's a great concept. I love to see that. But it's like it's so cartoonish, and then it's like people are flying in the background and things are exploding and everyone's like a cartoon character.
It's
it's like almost zany, and then
Can
you're
I
kind
interject?
of yes.
No, well, just let's get to this a big chunky point. At least for me, the humor of Babylon.
Yeah,
like I teased before.
I think that's a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just do it. So if you guys will indulge me, everybody, for a second, I actually started thinking about Steven Spielberg's 1941 when I was watching this, because the famous thing here is 1941 by Steven Spielberg, after Close Encounters, after Jaws. He said, I'm going to make a comedy, about, like right before Pearl Harbor in 1941. So the thing, though, with all those Hollywood Brat Pack guys of the time, Scorsese and De Palma, all of his peers and his friends, they're all looking at each other and going, wait, what? Steven is making a comedy? No. It's like, no. And they're like, but Steven's not funny. And they're like, I know. And guess what? It's his only comedy, and it's sort of a cringe fest. But also, this is what I'm bringing it up, is 1941 is very busy and very loud and very screamy too. It's very it's like trying to be that live action cartoon thing and zany, and it's like funny equals like loud and bang and
Abrasive.
People shout. I don't know if you guys have seen. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen 1941, but it's often everybody's just like running around the street. There's fist fights. There's things falling. There's breaking. There's tanks rolling. Like there's people like falling out of the sky. It's just a busy, loud mess. And I think both of them, Damien and Spielberg, are trying to do like this sort of it's so sad to even think of it, but like a Marx Brothers Harpo kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's trying to be like Marx Brothers, like manic, antic energy. Yeah. And if you watch like in Duck Soup when they're doing like one of those musical numbers.
Yeah.
That's the neighborhood that these guys are sort of trying to do, that kind of comedy.
And there's such great nuance in Duck Soup. You know what I mean? Like
I was
every
just gonna say,
line, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's really difficult to do. They also have incredible performers.
Incredible performers.
If I can, just real quick too, and this movie also, so it's all everything you're saying, right? Really unfunny, painfully unfunny, try hard to be funny, and it's coming
cringe.
from a cringe, a director who does not possess that talent to be funny or to be subversive or to be clever or to have wit, as you mentioned earlier, but it is also is smothered in pretension, which is also what makes it repulsive. So you have somebody who really is not funny and does not have that capability of being funny.
Yeah.
And so it's that sort of like, I can only, because the only way I can relate this is like somebody who is like a Criterion fanboy, who is interested in the movies on a surface level. Like they're only interested in the graphic design of the DVD packaging, and they don't really understand the soul of these films. They don't understand.
And they read, they're also like first period of the Wikipedia entry level.
Yes. Surface level.
That's the depth. That's the depth.
Of the top 100 AFI movies.
That's what I was saying. It's like the AFI. Yeah. It's like yes, Criterion too, but it's not even that deep.
So let me land this plane. It's literally the surface level Criterion fan who wears a scarf in the autumn, and he's literally that type of person who is unfunny, not fun to be around, trying to be subversive and funny, and it comes off extremely off-putting. Like it's like almost witnessing somebody at a party who said something that went too far. Like their most. You know what I'm saying? Like
it doesn't land.
What it reminds me of?
No social grace.
It's a guy in the kitchen at a party who's doing magic tricks, and you're like, don't do this. Are you trying to pick up women or something, or like you were told that like it'll help you, social lubricant, like magic trick cringe.
Yeah. Can I say something about
go.
Okay, so in terms of like, we're talking about the film references, and it's supposed to be, so like we mentioned Hail Caesar, we mentioned movies, like this is a movie it's supposed to be about the history of Hollywood, the history of filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
But what's so bizarre, we talked about this last night after some wine, that there's the essence of those brilliant films, whatever those films may be, whether it's Duck Soup or whatever those movies might be, the essence of what made those brilliant, there's zero trace of that in that. So if you're let's say Damien Chazelle wants to say he's a student of these movies and he's trying to emulate that, but in a really robust way, like it seems as if he woke up, he slept his entire life, he woke up in 2008. He only saw movies from 2008 to the present. And his references are literally like, I'm actually referencing like Hail Caesar, well, Boogie Nights is an exception, and like Wolf of Wall Street, and like all these terrible
very Wolf of
movies,
Wall Street,
terrible modern
it really
movies.
is.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street.
But I'm not referencing the authenticity of those earlier movies. I'm just taking from the really shitty movies of the past 10 years.
I can do that.
And then throwing them into what?
This is a premise that we did. This is one of the 15 conversations we had last night.
Yes.
And one of the threads is it's the Xerox problem.
Oh,
you know, like if you Xerox one page 100 times, you're not able to read the page. You know.
Can I explain this, please?
So and it's like you lose the source where it's like Scorsese was into the red shoes. And you're into the things that influence Scorsese. So you're lost. You're never going to make it to the red shoes.
It's actually worse than that. It's actually worse than that because it's like, this is a big topic. You guys are bringing up some bangers here. Okay.
Yeah. So this is huge.
Okay. This is why we're doing this episode. This is really why we're doing it, because let me just get this out because I'm dying over here. So, okay. The how did we get here? Okay, how did we get to a point where movies have become so fucking bad and there's no consequences?
Can I put it in a different way? Is how did we get to an $85 million film playing in thousands of theaters soon? Warning
coming.
January. Because this is not a small experiment.
No.
You know, this is not like a Lars von Trier.
This should be a mainstream
this is not
popcorn movie.
Yeah, it's not Holy Rollers we're talking about. So this is $85 million.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to help you with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so really this is what the problem is. In our culture is rolling over on itself continually from generation to generation to generation. And every time it rolls over, a little bit of that soul gets drained out, and that Xerox is starting to degrade, like Xeroxing of the culture. Every time you do, you lose a generation, right, of quality.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about, you know, Scorsese, you know, and then of course, you know, like this is a bad example, but you're talking about, you know, Goodfellas and Casino happens. That hits, it becomes a cultural phenomenon. Then PTA does a Xerox of that, right? And it's not that it's the one Xerox down necessarily isn't bad, right? No. But it's 1 degree less authentic, right? And then you get a Xerox.
It's a separation.
Yeah, it's 1 degree separation. Then you get a Xerox.
Tarantino.
And it's like, a Tarantino, or then it's a American Hustle, right? And then you get another Xerox, and you get a Damien Chazelle. So you're really like 4 or 5 Xeroxes deep, and you're really losing the heart and the soul of what made these movies. So it's sorry, real quick. It's just fanboy of fan. So, you know, it's like Scorsese, like, you know, PTA or Tarantino is the fanboy of Scorsese, but now you're getting the fanboy of Paul Thomas Anderson. So it's just going down.
A fanboy of the fanboy.
Fanboy of the 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 fanboy. And that's it. The
bonfire of the fanboys. No, but. And well, but let's actually get like another layer deeper about this. Okay. It's like because we're talking about the degrading of or actually the metaphor I was liking was like the rollover when you were saying like things are rolling over. It's like as it keeps rolling over, like it's picking up less of the burrs of the past. Like it's like retaining less, you know, something like that. But what I'm saying is, what are we seeing, especially in the example of this film, Babylon, what are we seeing that really is reducing? And I'll say it's not, what we're not losing is zippy dippy editing. That's like happening. That's still happening. There's a lot of Casino quick montages of like establishing the world. I call those, you know, flashbulb montages where it's like flashbulb. Headline, you know, and then it's like and then there's the audio of like a car braking, like, you know, and he that's certainly that Casino stuff which I like and support because, hey, that's Scorsese. He brought that to the fold.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that has been maintained. But much more deeply important, as we were discussing last night, what's disappearing? I know it sounds, again, hyperbolic. We're missing script writing.
Yeah, for sure. There's no script in this movie.
Yeah, a fundamental. And then the second thing, I'll open it up to you guys. I'll shut up. There's really less and less scripts, and that includes Baz Luhrmann and that kind of Elvis and stuff. The second thing is, for lack of a better term, a kind of gatekeeping or guidance, or how about clearer, more objective heads, because this is Auteurs gone wild.
It is Auteurs gone wild.
Auteurs gone wild, and you have less and less people monitoring where these films are going, and they're getting really off the deep end because they're an indulgence of one quote unquote creative mind. So that's why.
Can I say something about that quickly?
Yeah.
Or Evan, are you?
I just want to say one question out to the people. Where are the fucking producers? Where are the Robert Evans? Where are the people who are keeping these fucking nerds in check with their fucking bullshit? Sorry, go ahead.
But I want to say something about that, because this is not a Michael Cimino situation.
It's not.
This is not a Heaven's Gate.
Oh.
So I think it's really important to make that delineation.
Because it's a bomb. This movie's going to be a bomb, yeah.
But when we talk about, you talk about Heaven's Gate and that legendary situation with Cimino, where he, it was the auteur of the 70s, all those auteurs, and it was like, okay, this is the new culture. Let's give him free reign, right? That movie, I think it's a brilliant movie, and I think it's an amazing rewatch. The story's amazing, but the studios got terrified, right? He supposedly bankrupted United Artists, but this is not like Cimino. These people were they actually were auteurs. They were authentic. They had a vision. They had art. Like when you read about Heaven's Gate and what he put into that, in terms of like there's one little roller skating scene. He made them rehearse for 6 months to learn how to properly roller skate in the way that you would do it in that era. Like it really was genuine. So
he and those others were true wild visionaries.
They were. They were visionaries.
This is auteur cosplay.
Yeah,
this is cosplay. Okay,
yeah. Auteur cosplay. Thank you. That's the word I was
pretending, and they've gotten validated by the culture and validated by critics and validated by the system. So they're like, okay, they get that same kind of blank check, but because there's no authenticity,
Rémy, it's darker.
It's a prescription for hell. It's a prescription for Babylon.
It's actually darker because you have cosplay critics who are not real film critics. You have cosplay film critics who are enabling cosplay auteurs and cosplay producers. They're all in cahoots. This is a fucking conspiracy. Now let me get through one other thing too, because we're touching on all my favorite subjects here. So there's one other really egregious aspect to this movie that's okay. I don't want to we're watching this movie. It's painful. Hours are ticking off, and literally, we're not seeing characters. We're not actually like spending time with anybody to get to know them. We're literally just seeing images in front of our faces. It's really, really, really alienating. There's no thread. We're just not attaching to anything here. This is really bad. But the movie takes a turn that makes it even worse because it starts to get sentimental, as I mentioned earlier, where it's actually assuming that you cared about all these people. Okay, so then where it goes is it goes into the most pretentious, fucking self-indulgent thing I've ever seen in a fucking movie, where it has that main guy we were talking about. We haven't talked about Brad Pitt yet, but it has Diego Calva. In this movie, the guy who we were mentioning was a non-character. Tom called him boring guy for the past 24 hours. But boring guy, fucking, 20 years later, is now we're into the 50s. Movies are all the rage. God. Singing in the Rain is happening. God. And it's this epilogue in the film after all the characters have committed suicide in this film, which is super contrived, and that's a separate uninspired note. But anyway, so the Diego Calva character, 20 years later in this epilogue, goes to L.A., and he goes, I'm going to wander into a movie theater, and he sees Singing in the Rain. And he watches Singing in the Rain, and then he starts to get emotional, but then the movie goes into this hyper stylized like montage of the history of cinema. Okay, guys.
Montage.
There is
now,
literally.
Now, how about this? Wait, hold on. If you were making a montage of film history, let's see. Here's what I would do. If I was doing a montage of film history, I would make sure that Tron is there.
Tron.
Terminator 2 has got to get in there. Got to get Avatar in there.
Guys,
yeah, exactly.
There is a shot also, in this movie.
And Persona for some reason.
Yeah.
Like,
and Persona.
I watched something last night that had a montage where right after Avatar footage is Ingmar Bergman's Persona.
Dude, I can't believe you do not adjust your television set. This is real. Guys, there is a shot of the T-1000 from Terminator 2 in this fucking movie. As in the context of the history of cinema
of the film in the film.
So, but what makes it even worse, like that's okay. In Tron, like the fucking light bikes in Tron are in this movie. What makes this terrible and insane? This is actually so much more insane than any of the movies we covered 2 weeks ago on movies we hate.
It is.
This movie is so the hubris of this fucking Criterion asshole.
Yes.
AFI motherfucker.
This AFI guy. To insert himself and this movie into the pantheon of cinematic achievements.
To assume that it even would have a place there.
To assume. Dude, you were the film that didn't win Best Picture, bro. What are you doing? This was
well, but
has to be.
It feels like a ride. Like we said, it felt like in Disney World when you did those rides and there was like the Michael Jackson ride or Universal where it's like all the different literally the end of the movie was like, oh, now we're in a Universal Studios ride in your fucking movie. That's
exactly what it felt like. Well, if I can, it's hard to unpack this film because there's so much bad stuff that's nonstop happening for over 3 hours. But the ending is so see, we're addressing one problem at a time, but we're talking about this cringy montage. But if I can, let me just walk everybody through this for just 1 second. The succession of events. Here's the note. Here's the final note the film lands on, or notes, is the boring guy crying.
Watching Terminator 2 footage. Yes, go on.
Right. Now, then it's a montage. Then it's a montage, and then it disappears into abstract colored frames and literal psychedelic light show, water meets
Petri dish,
colored dye. Yeah. Then it cuts back to him crying on a lingering, unflattering shot of him crying, and it's kind of too dark. Then it cuts to a second montage, which is black and white depictions of what you just saw in the previous 3 hours. So you're watching the film you watched have its own montage, and you're supposed to be like getting choked up because you're remembering. You don't give a shit. Remember that scene. Remember those two. Remember the look she gave him. It's like, wow, not quite. And then guess what? It goes back to the party.
Yes, we go back to the party. We go back to the party.
No one cared about any of these scenes. No one cared.
And all I'm trying to do here is just like, it's so there's no grace. That's the other thing he doesn't. He doesn't have wit and grace, which are absolutely elemental to any truly creative, like a crass person. You know what I mean? And he has no grace because he's like landing the plane like he's bumping on the runway. It's like he's not, enemy's a plane landing, you land at the Godfather, the door closes, but he's just like, I guess I'm landing here. No, I'm not landing there. No, I'm going to go back. And it's just like, I think what it is, he has no sure footing. Well, he doesn't know what he's doing, and he has no sure footing about the grace note that you're landing on. Like, what are you leaving us with? What is the final, and it's like, it's a mess.
Authentic essence.
No, and also, well, it's also confused. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
Rémy, sorry. One thing. It's like to make it a comparison for the listener, is it's like 2001 A Space Odyssey becomes cosmically brilliant by the end of the film because it
earns it.
It earns it, and it takes it up and it brings it to this level of like, holy shit, bro, what does this all mean?
These filmmakers don't get that you have to earn those moments.
You have to earn it. You have to earn it.
I said this to you, Tom, last night with Zodiac. The scene with Arthur Lee Allen, and they're all standing in, when they visit his work.
Interrogation,
that interrogation scene, David Fincher earns that moment to such a degree that every flicker of their eyes or those expressions, you feel everything, because the pacing, the story, the script writing, the performance, it's an orchestra. That's filmmaking.
Craft.
This fucking guy has no idea how to do that.
No,
so then when the guy's crying in fucking Babylon and the close up, you don't feel anything because we haven't earned it.
I know.
And the sad irony of this, and the clock is dying. I have so much more to say, but the sad irony of this is that, just to quickly touch on Brad Pitt, whose character is completely vapid as well too, because he's literally that cliche washed up actor that we've seen in every movie ever. And he's somebody who, obviously the talkies come in and he falls by the wayside. But there's a scene in this movie where he goes to see a movie of his latest film, which is the turning point in his career, where then the audience starts to turn on him and start to laugh at him because what he's doing, all the schmaltzy stuff he's doing, is laughable now. But it's so ironic because that is what we are as watching this movie.
I know.
Watching it and how it's so completely missing the fundamentals of the craftsmanship that it requires to make a movie. It's literally somebody.
And the missed opportunity is like unbelievable. Because when you talk about, like we talked about last night with Hollywood Babylon, Kenneth Anger, right? Like when you read those stories, you have so much material to work from. The source material, like these really interesting, nuanced, tragic, cool stories.
How about this?
You could have pulled from those stories.
An actress hung herself from the Hollywood sign.
Yes. Where was
that's like the most unbelievably cinematic thing that you'd want to sink your teeth into.
That should be the
none of these stories were in this movie.
That should be the poster of the movie.
Like literally, the deepest thing you get is that Margot Robbie off screen has a gambling addiction.
Yeah, I know. Off screen.
And you never see it. Yeah.
You don't see it, and they do some cocaine. Right. It's like the real stories of Hollywood Babylon are unreal. And guys, people should go and read this.
I think I have two quick thoughts just to maybe kick around the dirt here in the final stretch.
I got two things I got to get in though. But go on.
Okay, well, we'll get them.
Oh, well, they're just statements, and just like add it to the ball rolling down the road. But two things. I think you guys really hit something. This is very participation trophy kind of filmmaking. I think you really nailed it when you were saying like what's that phrase? It's like it's somebody who thought that they hit a triple, but they were born on third base. You ever heard that?
Yeah.
And it's like and so it's a kind of entitlement. It's like
entitlement,
and so and an assumptiveness. And I think you really nailed that because they don't even understand the value of earning something.
No.
And then but then strangely, there's this one other thought, and then I'll shut up. Is it belabors the point? This film is very indulgent and belabors the point. Him being a sad, washed up actor is just beaten to the fucking ground. Everything's
over and over.
Beating a dead horse.
Every point is bluntly rendered. And it done 5 times over.
Oh yeah,
say that.
dude, over and over because the filmmaker has nothing to say, and every scene,
no
and then
subtlety,
of course,
no
and
nuance.
then what's the payoff? He shoots himself in the head. Give me a fucking
which is
break,
another
dude.
Boogie Nights ripoff.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. So this movie.
Totally.
So anyway, I just want to say, I mean, we didn't even get to the scene with really one of the worst scenes I've seen in all of film. Is a scene involving Margot Robbie where she's sticking she's really sticking it to so she gets sort of branded as a wild child, sort of out of control, sexual free spirit kind of character, and then it worked for her in the beginning of her career, and then it's starting to be a detriment, and so she rebrands herself as she's trying to rebrand herself, and then so there's a sequence where she's trying to fit in with the rich crowd, but then it doesn't go right, and then of course I called it, she's going to vomit on everybody. It's literally just, again, that not funny, abrasive, like no nuance, actors with a long leash. It's just so cringe. It's one of the cringiest things I've ever seen in my entire life. But I do want to touch on it.
We can never describe it. You have to witness it.
You have to see it.
The whole thing is unbearable in all these different kinds of ways.
Groundbreaking. It's groundbreakingly bad.
Yeah, it's like it's irresponsible to treat an actor like that and let them
it
do
is.
these
I
kinds
actually
of
felt
it was abusive to her. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. So real quick, as a summation to this, Rémy, this is a topic you're very familiar with too, because I do want to get into how did we get here? You know, we did talk about the rolling over, but there's a lot of movies coming out this year and last year, and I'm sure in the future.
Oh yeah.
And we're talking about big movies. We're talking about, now I didn't see this movie, but from all reports indicate that Jordan Peele's Nope also kind of follows a similar trajectory of sort of a film that doesn't really reach out to its audience. It's a series of sequences that are just kind of, you know, one after the other, and we're sort of expected to sort of connect with this in any way. But what is it that we're losing?
Like we're saying, like post screenwriting. Like
where's the script? Where's the pacing? Where's the structure?
Yeah. Right.
Where are the modulations that make us feel something? We don't feel anything. So we're watching this spectacle, and we know they're putting so much effort into the spectacle
and money,
but we don't feel shit. You know, and you're the feeling the thing is supposed to be like that's supposed to be the subtext, like Close Encounters or something. Like you feel so much from that movie, right? But it's all subtext. Yeah. They're not telling you, and they're not forcing you. You're just like it's emotional, right? Like Nope and Licorice Pizza and Babylon are three really good examples. 3 examples, all pastiche. All style, people gone wild, no checks and balances.
Gone wild. Yep.
Auteur hubris, and no one's saying like, guys, this fucking sucks.
Think of the audience.
Let's take some notes on the script.
Well, we're talking about it sounds bad to say it, but there really are some rules to a presentation, to entertainment. I mean, I'm very into really hard avant-garde experimental film and everything, art.
Yes.
But they have their own kind of crazy rules.
Again, not $80 million though when you're spending $80 million.
Yeah, right. These are $80 million multiplex movies. So it's like follow some rules or make up your own or and then I'll shut up. Make your own new rules. Godard's Breathless. No, but Godard's Breathless. Make your own
innovate
or Lynch.
Innovate.
But you can't. Go ahead. That's all.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Make it visceral. Make it authentic. If you're not going to do that, why the fuck are we here? We paid $15. Like, make us feel something.
Yeah, exactly. Reach out to us as the audience. Think of the audience for once. You fucking got up your own asshole. Fucking all right.
Shit.
Okay, listen. All right, sorry. I got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes on the clock. I gotta get this in because I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it. And that's the other real standout in this, which is you have another young actor who seems like he's a great actor. He seems like he's a great guy, and I really wish the best for him, and I mean that sincerely.
Oh God.
You have this character Jovan. His name is Jovan Adepo, and he plays Sidney Palmer, and he's playing this character of he's the recurring motif of the trumpeter that you're seeing in the film, and obviously they're trying to unpack some complicated themes and history around race and film, and sort of how black people were used in that time period and things like that, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But what I think is just such a fucking disservice to this actor and to the subject matter and to what's the history of this.
The history,
is that he
and
literally
the potential
for where that could have gone. Yeah,
is that he is utilized in such a way that, and he's on the poster. This guy's name is on the poster, but he doesn't have any fucking lines, and he's not even a character. Cutout. He's a cardboard cutout. He's actually you're actually doing to him. Yes. What the point is that you're trying to make, that what the films in the 30s and 20s did.
This movie to such an extent that you don't even realize he's a main character. Like you don't until the very end. You're like, oh, he's a main character, but he has no lines and no scenes and no character development. But you're using him as a prop.
He has
a cultural point, and it's really sick. Like it's literally like shitty.
It's insulting. Yeah.
It's really insulting. And so anyway, that's a whole nother dimension. So
otherwise, bottom line, we loved it. I had a ball. Babylon.
Oh, guys.
This Friday.
Hopefully you understood a little bit of why we had to dive into this. All right, the hour is over.
You have been warned. You have been warned.
Also, go out and watch Day of the Locusts. Watch the Bad and the Beautiful. Watch the Big
Sunset
Knife,
Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard, Mulholland Drive. There's a lot of great Whatever Happened to Baby Jade. There's a lot of great Hollywood movies out there that are about the dark side of Hollywood. This is not that. This is a This is a fraud.
This movie is about the dark side of Hollywood 2022.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Okay. Yeah.
If you want to know the real dark side of Hollywood, watch this movie. Actually.
Exactly. Entitlement. All right. So anyway, that's it. We abide by the rules here at 1 fucking hour. That is 1 fucking hour. But hopefully everybody understood a little bit of why we had to. I mean, we're on vacation. We're not supposed to be working right now.
I know.
But hopefully everybody, Christmas, New Year's. Hopefully everybody understands why we had to jump on the mic, why we had to do this. Because this is a movie that is opening wide in January,
and coming
to you right now.
Be warned.
And we wanted to warn you.
This is our civic duty.
Yes. And this is in the running.
With this knowledge.
This movie is in the running. Honestly, take it from me, okay? I know I say some hyperbolic things on this show, but take it from me. This literally is one of the worst movies I have ever seen. And
it doesn't get worse than this.
It's hard to get worse. Like Dogma. I
agree.
I hate Dogma, but Dogma has
walk in the park.
Characters, scenes, Jason Mewes is there. It's all happening, brother. This movie has nothing, literally nothing,
and it vomits in your face and shits
on you and vomits on you and abuses you. This is bad. This is as bad as it gets.
To no avail. Yeah.
So, all right.
Anyway, sorry.
You're like, we're done here. Can we
done. Well, the hour is over. I mean,
the hour is over. Sorry, I know. I'm sorry. But anyway, this is a special emergency. Unfortunately, we won't have a moment of Zen because the moment is really just the whole fucking movie. So if you really
the moment is 3 hours. This is a 3 hour and 9 minute moment.
The moment is you buying that ticket.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for indulging us as we indulged Mr. Damien Chazelle with his movie, and we will be back with our regularly scheduled programming. Probably, I think, sometime into the new year. Probably, maybe beginning of week 2 of the new year, we'll come back with King of Comedy, 1 fucking hour in King of Comedy, a real fucking movie, and we'll talk about that, and we'll get into it, and we'll be back doing what we love to do. But Tom, I also know that you wanted to cover a lot of more new release films, so this might be a start of a new tradition on the show.
Just a reflection on how much fun it seemed like we had and the viewers who watched it had on our hate this movie. It was more fun than I even thought it would be, and I thought maybe we could extend it and take a glance at the atrocities that are happening now. And again, it's going full circle. That's sort of where this was happening and why we wound up seeing Babylon. So we'll see. We're going to keep an eye on the new garbage that comes out and report back possibly, dependent on what actually is coming out, maybe it's a renaissance.
Yeah, I will survive. We will survive these films for you. Okay, that's how much we love you. But anyway, okay, everybody, thanks so much for checking out this week's episode. Don't see this movie unless you're a real masochist. But that's why we did it to warn you. You have to really be on a special level to even make it through this. But anyway, all right, everybody, we will catch you again in the new year. Have a great new year, safe new year. We will talk to you soon. Happy New Year, everybody. Yep. And we will see you soon. All right, everybody, take care for now. Bye.
See you next year.